hear the good folks of Ren Collective tell it, one of the freshest and most beloved bands on your radio can't believe their own success. In fact, they're absolutely shocked by it. Their latest album, Good News, releases this week, from which they've already launched the joy-filled song Rescuer. Chris Llewellyn is the lead singer of these Northern Irish hitmakers, and we get the chance to meet this good man today. Chris, it's a treat to have you here, sir. Welcome to On the Road.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm just glad to be here and I'm talking to you guys.
Now, with the new music of Good News, what is it about this record that you're so excited to share?
I think the thing that's really excited us and kind of energized us for this whole project has been really, we started to realize that kind of every time we picked up our phone or we turned on the TV or we went on social media, that the world is just so full of bad news right now. There's so much negativity out there. And as a church, it's not just our responsibility not to bring more negativity, but it's actually it's our mission given by Jesus to proclaim good news, to be hope and to be light in those situations and in these seasons that we find ourselves in. You know, whenever Jesus kind of describes his mission statement at the beginning of Luke, he says that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me to proclaim good news for the captives. And that's still our mission statement as well. If we're to be like Jesus, that's what we're here for, to announce good news.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, the lead single, obviously, from the record Rescuer, has been impacting people for some months already. And it is like so many of your songs. I mean, it's just effervescent with how much joy is there. Can you share a little bit of the heart behind that song and where it comes from?
Yeah, well, really, this song just builds upon that theme of good news. It reminds us that we have a rescuer in Jesus who is not just a rescuer for those of us who are in church or who are nice or who are polite, but the song goes through to mention that the invitation for rescue is thrown out really wide. The message of Jesus is good news for absolutely everyone. It's good news for the captive, for the people who are suffering from shame, for people who maybe are a little burned out on religion. This good news just can't be contained inside the four walls of a church, and it's open to literally anyone who wants to come and receive it. And this song really just celebrates that fact that Jesus has set us free from sin forevermore.
Chris Llewellyn is the lead singer of the Northern Irish hitmakers Ren Collective, just out with their latest album, Good News, this week. And I really should have asked you how to say Llewellyn properly before I tried to say it myself. How did I do, brother?
You nailed it. 100% nailed it.
What? Oh, wow. This is a good day, sir. Well, I mean, the thing
it's ridiculously good.
Well said. Well said. You know, joy does seem to be just this recurring theme throughout so many of your songs. It's just this, you listen to the words, you listen to the soundscape, and it just buoys you with the joy that just seeps out of your music. I mean, this is obviously kind of a big question, but where does that joy come from, and why is it so obvious when we listen to your songs?
Well, I think the reason why we gravitate to joy is in a weird way because we're kind of naturally quite grumpy people, believe it or not. we come from this like slightly damp, wet, ever so slightly cold country, and even waking up in the morning, it's hard to find joy when you can't find the sun. But I think one thing that we've realized is that joy actually isn't something that is automatic for human beings at all, but it's a spiritual discipline that we need to cultivate and actually practice. You know, happiness is what happens to us, really. It's when you pass your driving test or you, I don't know, you get a box of chocolates. But joy is something that's so much deeper than that. Joy is our strength. You know, the scripture says that the joy of the Lord is our strength. And, that strength can sustain us even in dark times. We can, as Christians, we can have this almost defiant joy that arrives even in the middle of our hardest seasons. And that's what we're sort of chasing as a band, is to try and be not just happy, but to be joyful.
What an awesome response. Well, and having never been to your sceptered island realm myself, you describe it as being very wet, but in addition to the dampness, it is an extraordinarily beautiful place, right? Is that fair to say?
It really is. That's the other side of the coin. If the sun were to ever come out, I think it would be the greatest place on planet Earth. It would be better than Hawaii. You guys explained your genesis as a band there in this beautiful place that we speak of as being a group of confused 20-somethings trying to figure out faith, life, God, and community in this small Northern Irish coastal town. What did you set out to do when you formed the band? What was your purpose? Well, we began as really just a Bible study. The thought process was that we realized that at the end of youth group, kind of that 18 marker, between 18 and the time that you're married, there was a real gap in church for where you were supposed to fit in. And unfortunately, it's in that gap that we saw a lot of our friends walk away from faith. And a lot of it was because, I guess, the simplicity of the truth that they had been learning in youth group just didn't stand up to real life. And they didn't have any community to kind of wrestle through the questions and the gray areas of faith that are so difficult, I guess, into adulthood. And we wanted to create a space where people actually in that age group, that 18 to 30s and single, were really on fire for Jesus and really pursuing that. The funny thing about that Bible study, which was actually called Ren, is that there was basically no music. We didn't play music for years, and it really wasn't about that. There was no glamour. There was no lights or stage or anything. We just kind of sat around on the floor of a sports hall and we opened the Bible and prayed together. And it's from there that we kind of grew. To be honest, Ren Collective, our music might change, and our music is by no means the best thing about us. In my opinion, the best thing about us is that we're a community of people who really are family to each other and who really model that, and who are trying imperfectly to chase after Jesus. We're still basically those kids on the sports hall floor. We've just got a ukulele in our hand sometimes now.
Your answers are full of insight and full of amusement as well, sir. If I might say that. Chris Llewellyn is the lead singer of the Northern Irish hitmakers Ren Collective, just out with their latest album, Good News, this week. Now, people that are devotees of the band know that initially, when they started to love your music, you were the Ren Collective experiment, and then the experiment stopped. Where did the experiment go, brother?
In spirit, the experiment continues. It was just a syllabic problem with our accents and with the already long name of Ren Collective. Adding experiment was just too much. We were asking too much of people. And then our names are difficult to pronounce, so we just kind of realized everybody was already shortening it to Ren Collective. And we could afford to drop the experiment. But honestly, we called ourselves an experiment because we were, I guess, not just experimenting with different musical styles, but also we kind of think faith is a little bit like an experiment. When you step out in faith, you don't exactly know what's going to happen. You just kind of have this hypothesis of what you hope is going to happen. And we want to retain that, I guess, that slightly more dangerous side of faith. We want to be on the edges of our relationship with God, like trying to push into new frontiers. And I guess that was the spirit behind it.
I love that. It's funny to read your self-deprecating analysis of your own success, because you guys have all said that you're pretty surprised at how much people love your work. Have you come to a place of understanding any more deeply about just why it's impacting people as much as it is?
No, I have no understanding whatsoever. I'm really glad of it. It's funny because during the little breaks, you sometimes refer to us as hit makers, and I was actually chuckling to myself. I was thinking, what are those hits? But maybe you're just speaking it out in faith.
No, I could go through and name them. I promise, it's true.
All right, I believe you. I think for us, what we've realized is that long before we actually had any songs that were really exciting for people, we already kind of had a groundswell of people who really wanted to like us because they liked what we stood for. And I kind of think it's the same thing that's drawn people on board today. It's when you see a group of people who genuinely love each other and who genuinely are trying to pursue faith, there's something that's attractive about that. And I think there's other bands who play music far better than us. There's other bands who write more fantastic lyrics. But the one thing that we've really kind of got down is we know how to have a good time together. And we really are just trying to be ourselves and be Christians at the same time. And people seem to really resonate with that. Authenticity is so important to people in a world that's increasingly artificial.
Wow. That is an excellent point. So I have one last question for you, and this is a little bit off the wall as well, but it does seem again and again throughout musical history that when folks who are amazing at music and are also from the British Isles come to this nation of America with their music, we absolutely adore you guys. Do you have any theories on why Americans love to listen to British people make music so much?
Well, in our experience, it's just been the accent has disguised the music. I'm not sure anybody could tell you. People care very deeply about the things that we say from stage and listen very intently to that. And I think it burns them out and they aren't able to pay as much attention to the music. That's my theory. Also, everybody in America is at least a little bit Irish. We did such a good job of populating your fine country that we're all friends and family at the end of the day. So I think that's what's going on. Also, Brits have a wee bit of a quirky experimental spirit that sometimes can sometimes be better than the polish and the perfection. There's something ramshackle about British rock.
That's so true. Oh, I'm tempted to continue speaking to you, but sir, I know you're a very busy man and you need to get going. Chris Llewellyn, lead singer of the Northern Irish hitmakers, It's True, Wren Collective, just out with their latest album, Good News, this week. What an absolute pleasure speaking with you, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot. That was a great fun interview. Thank you.